Good Friday morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, May 24th. Looking at precipitation for the past 7 days, quite a bit of it over just about the entire Great Basin here in the green to yellow shades, a ½ inch to 1.5 inches. Only areas that remained relatively unscathed were far southern areas of Nevada towards Vegas and further south. On the right-hand side, you can see how much above normal most of the Great Basin is. The areas in the purple shades, anywhere from 300 to 600% of normal precipitation for the week. That is on top of an abnormally wet winter for at least the southern half to 2/3 of the Great Basin. You can see those blue to purple shades. Those are amounts about 130 to 150, even 200% of normal, especially across southern Utah and parts of the Arizona Strip. And even in our driest areas up here across the mountains of central Idaho towards western Wyoming, still about normal or slightly above normal for the most part. A few exceptions here across parts of eastern Idaho, but some of that seems to be maybe some ground clutter noise. We are still talking about snowfall here in the past 72 hours. Areas enhanced in yellow to orange, anywhere from 6 to over 12 inches of snow, even some locally higher amounts near 2 feet across the highest elevations of the Uintas, above about 8,000 to 9,000 feet. Similar story for the higher terrain of Wyoming and central Idaho, and across a good portion of the Rubies and the higher terrain ridges of central and eastern Nevada. Sierra continues to get pummeled as well, and the snowpack, it melts off pretty quickly in the basin floor the next day after the snowfall, but above 8,000 feet it continues to pile up in the Sierra, in the Wasatch and Uintas and western Wyoming, central Idaho. Those purple shades indicate anywhere from 30 to over 50 inches of snow still packed down on the ground. And this wet pattern over the last couple of days and weeks and months continues to have an effect on 1,000-hour fuels in these dark green areas all the way down to the Arizona border, above 20%. That typically means even if we get into typical early summer weather, it would still take about 6 to 10 weeks for those areas to dry out enough to pose a fire threat in heavier fuels. And even areas in Nevada have moistened up quite a bit. So nothing of significant concern for fires in our immediate future the next couple of days, or probably even the next couple of weeks. Satellite imagery shows an unseasonably deep low pressure area exiting northern Utah into Wyoming and Montana. But here upstream across Washington State on British Columbia, another low starting to track on down. And above that, another low coming out of Alaska. And this jet stream pattern has been continuing this way. El Nino brings storms across the Pacific, a semi-permanent ridge in the eastern Pacific, shifting it up and over. And we continue to maintain low pressure troughing across most of the Great Basin. So here's our upper level map for this afternoon. Broad area of green indicates clouds and scattered precipitation. Broad area of trough low pressure. This means that ventilation or dispersion is good to excellent. We see the areas in the white. Transport winds coming out of the west across the western areas of the Great Basin, more southwesterly across the eastern Great Basin, very light further south. Mixing heights, this is a new mixing height map, kind of a substitute. We're missing some data, but any areas in the yellow, orange to red, and purple indicate higher and higher vertical mixing. And vertical mixing really not an issue whenever you're in the vicinity of low pressure. So here's that next low, dropping down off the Pacific Northwest coast. More showers moving in there, enhancing showers across Nevada and Idaho. Excellent overall dispersion again. Transport winds more to the south and south-southwest, and speeds are picking up here Saturday. Excellent overall vertical mixing. There is that unseasonably deep low, something we normally see in the depths of January or February in the winter, but now we're approaching June. And there's lots of moisture. There'll be some colder air underneath this low, so there'll be some higher elevation snows again across the Sierra and maybe some mountains of eastern Nevada. Excellent overall dispersion. Very strong transport winds. You see the pink shades, speeds of 30 to 40 miles per hour. So across southern, central, actually most of Utah, the Arizona Strip, very good winds, very good overall vertical mixing. The Utah Clearing Index for prescribed burning, pretty good. We see the orange to red shades, and you can see it becomes excellent over the weekend. No limitations there. The only limitation for burning might be wet fuels. So this is the 3-day precipitation accumulation, Friday morning through Monday morning. You can see the green areas anywhere from a a hundredth to a quarter of an inch, and then the blue shades a half inch or more. And we go further down the road into Monday. There's that low pressure trough slowly pushing across Utah, southern Utah, with basic clouds and showers across most of the Great Basin. Again, excellent overall dispersion. That low moves out on Tuesday. We're kind of unsettled, but still in the broad trough. We're still watching this direction for any lows dropping on down. And there is the next low kind of starting to form over northern California, northwestern Nevada on Wednesday. And on Thursday, still a weak trophy pattern, means cooler than normal temperatures. Not significant heavy precipitation, but spotty light showers wherever you see those greenish areas, mainly across the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin. And then another deep low further waiting in the wings. Excellent overall dispersion. Precipitation for days 4 and 5. This is basically Monday afternoon through Wednesday afternoon. You can see most of the Great Basin getting light to locally moderate precipitation, except for the far south. And day 6 and 7, light precipitation, a couple hundredths of an inch to maybe a quarter of an inch, mostly across Nevada and towards the Idaho border, and the mountains of central Idaho as well. Spotty amounts across the higher terrain of Utah and western Wyoming, so still kind of unsettled and showery. If we add that all up over the next 7 days, this is more typically of a January map where you see the blue to purple shades. That's a half inch to close to 2 inches of precipitation. A lot of that above 8,000 feet, again in the form of snow. So snowpack not melting. Actually, we're still kind of adding to it as we're just about to enter June. And this precipitation even lingers into parts of the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada. The 8 to 14-day outlook, again, shows wetter than normal potential across the entire Great Basin, so we'll continue with that. And near normal and probably slightly cooler than normal temperatures. This concludes our briefing. Our briefings start Mondays through Fridays next week, and we'll focus a bit more on fire potential as well as a little bit on prescribed burning. We will be off on Monday. It's a federal holiday, but Tuesday through Friday we'll continue to have our briefings every day with a focus more on the upcoming fire season. Have a great day.